welcome into the Dropkick Basement, your favorite wrestling history podcast. My name, Mike Madden. I talk caveman now. My name is Mike Madden. I am running the basement here, turning the lights on and making the microphones work. My partner in crime is on the other end, Tommy Schultz. Tommy, how are you, B?
I be good.
Oh, good. Hi. You talk caveman too. Okay.
Doing good. It's been a minute. So
yeah, I know. Yeah, we're
ready to talk some wrestling.
That's the whole point. We were talking on the in the pre-production meeting, as we always do. It's like, oh, looking at my notes, it's like, well, we haven't recorded in quite some time. We have a lot to catch up on here. So yeah, we're glad you guys are tuning back in. And Tom and I have a little bit of a the sad news to report.
Yes.
Which came out over the last weekend. The passing away of Sabu. It's kind of a shock.
Yeah.
And I would think, listen, it's no surprise that the guy led a crazy, crazy lifestyle. If you're a wrestling fan, first of all, the tremendous toll that it took on his body while he was a active participant and a full-time wrestler was nuts enough to say, no mas, tap out. But also, again, a lifestyle that caught up with him at a young age and would have made anybody a little bit more susceptible to an early death. So we'll just put it that way. But your thoughts about the legend himself, Sabu?
I was pretty bummed out to hear this one because, growing up, he was the guy that got me into, I guess you would call it extreme wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Oh, me too.
He was the guy that I first saw and was like, oh my God, this is not like everything else that I watch.
True.
An absolute innovator in every sense of the word. I truly don't think that even with his passing, he'll get his all of the credit that he really deserves for how he innovated and changed the business.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am glad that he did get one more ride.
For sure. Yeah.
Before
the final match, Mania weekend.
In front of huge crowd, and that was awesome to see.
It's I think I echo a lot of the things that you were talking about when it comes to his my fandom of him. Basically, he's a guy that I had cooled off being a wrestling fan while I was in high school. Still kept an eye on it and knew the guys and knew the major stuff that was going on, but really sort of following it and watching something regular on television, I wasn't doing that. And then 94, 95, I was catching wind of it, and it was really ironically enough, when I started college, and you start to talk to people that you never talked about wrestling, and it's like, oh, you're a wrestling fan, and then it's like, oh, have you ever seen this or ever seen that? So again, the topic of ECW comes up. I knew a few people that had grown up in Pennsylvania that talked about seeing it in Philly, in the Philly area. And then it was like, are you reading about it in magazines, newsletters, a little bit online, tape trading, whatnot. And then it's like, holy shit, this is this incredible ball of energy. The best way to describe it was a ball of energy. And he was every bit unique as anything at that time, because that was really, you're talking cartoon characters are on WWF television. WCW was the Hulk Hogan show, and and a lot of the old stars from the old WWF that had been on top there. So for ECW itself, that was like the building block. I watched ECW because I heard about Sabu, and then it was kind of off to the races there. Got a chance to see him a couple times live as part of ECW. Mostly against the Sandman when I'm thinking about it. Like, I didn't really get like the best of Sabu live and in person. I got Sandman at the As Good as It Gets show in '97, and that was more of an angle than it was a match. It was more like the beginning of their feud. And actually, the first time that I saw him live, the first time I was supposed to see him live, was at the original three-way dance that he no-showed. And I think I've told the story on the show before, or I've told it to you off air. My buddy and I got to the arena because we got lost and we couldn't find any place to park, so we had to park up the street in one of the South Philly neighborhoods.
Yeah. Oh God.
And make our way back to the building. We made our way back to the building just after Paulie had come out and done the infamous speech where the crowd goes, "Fuck Sabu." So we're walking in and we're like, "Fuck Sabu." Like, did he turn heel? Did he turn on Taz? Did we miss the match? And then through the crowd, you could hear, "Oh, he no-showed." Oh, okay. The rest of the night was "Fuck Sabu." So that was the first time I was supposed to see him. The first time I actually saw him live was at the arena in March '96. Big ass Extreme Bash.
Okay.
It was him versus Rick Titan. Now, Rick Titan ended up being fake Razor Ramon in the WWF. And like he had been like an FMW guy. So they brought him over and he was, I guess he was Rick Titan or Titan. And he had a clunker with Sabu. It was god awful because they weren't really matched up size-wise the right way. So that was a disappointment. And then the two matches with Sandman live were a bit of a. The first one was, as I mentioned, the angle. Then the other one was at the Living Dangerously pay-per-view in '98, and for some reason they like pre-taped it before they showed it live. I guess
Is that the Stairway to Hell match?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, this was another match. Like Van Dam came out dressed like Sabu and started the match and he had his hair over his face.
Oh, okay.
And then like Sabu jumped him, and then it was like, oh, there's two Sabus, and it was kind of a mess. But I digress. I've seen enough on video and enough other instances of him being the most incredible, innovative, high flyer, brawler, psychology guy. So it's a real shame to lose him, and
it's a bummer. But
it's still, you have. Thank God the guy has been in every single company that ever put out wrestling. So, there's a dearth of information out there and different avenues to check out shows. So, so that's it's kind of a sad thing to start the show off with, but we reset ourselves, and you've actually come up with a booking exercise because we're coming up to Double or Nothing weekend.
Yes, Double or Nothing coming up Sunday, right? Memorial Day weekend. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking of something to talk about, and I kind of noticed that, it's mainly due to the short history that we have of AEW, but we haven't done much AEW content.
That's true. That's a good point.
On the show. So I thought, with Double or Nothing coming up, and that being the inaugural AEW pay-per-view, that we can go back and look at the first Double or Nothing from 2019 and see if we could spruce it up a little bit. That
sounds great. Now, so we're at AEW 2019. This is before they debut on TNT.
Yeah, it's about 5 months beforehand.
Did they? Because I know they did the two. So they Double or Nothing. Then they did another pay-per-view show, or did they two more pay-per-view shows before they got on actual television?
No, well, it wasn't actually. So they did they did Double or Nothing.
Hmm.
Then they did the Fight for the Fallen or something like that.
Okay.
Which
Yeah. Yeah.
those weren't they were on Bleacher Report like
Oh,
live.
okay. All right. So,
Yeah, so that's what it was. It was Fight for the Fallen and I can't remember the name of the other one, but it was the one where Moxley wrestled Joey.
right. Right.
And then they did All Out,
Yes.
which was about a month before Dynamite
Before the
started.
TV show. Okay. Right. So
Yeah.
then, yeah, this was in that period where they're establishing what is going to be setting the tempo. What is going to be
Exactly.
the TV once they get kicked off. So it's an interesting. Like this is a great time to sort of like delve into it and
And
sort
especially
of pick
like
it apart. Maybe.
but you have to think that in the year of 2019, the wrestling, especially on television, is as bleak can be.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
We're in like the dark days of WWE.
Baron
And
Corbin's
so,
like an authority figure on TV.
yeah,
And he's
where
dressed like a waiter.
so like people are, the indies are doing all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
New Japan was pretty strong at the time. Still,
But they were suffering the
cooling
effects of being
down.
depleted with all of these guys that were signing
Yeah.
with AEW and that weren't going to be there
AEW,
all that regularly.
exactly, and
Yeah.
and like a lot of their major guys going to WWE as well.
Yep. Yep.
So at the time, this show got pretty high praise and critical acclaim because you just weren't, especially in America, we're not seeing this on pay-per-view.
True. True.
Going back, I think it could have been done a little bit better, but at the same time, this is. I mean, you could say that All In was kind of the first AEW show because that's really where the company was born from.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
technically, it wasn't. It was
Yes.
essentially a Ring of Honor show, because it was partially funded and
It was.
they allowed their talent to
Yeah. Yeah.
appear on the show. So let's get into the original card, which
Yeah.
there's a few things that I have a bit of a gripe with
Okay.
in the original card. So we start with the buy-in, which is their typical pre-show thing. So it starts with a 21-man casino battle royal. Now there's two things that I don't like about this match. One is the stipulation for this match is that the winner gets a shot, becomes the number one contender for the world title.
Right. Right.
Now, not that I have a problem with that specifically. It's that you're putting this match on a pre-show, and the winner of your main event will then
Is
face the winner of this battle royal.
Yeah.
At the next pay-per-view to determine your world champion. So you're essentially saying whoever wins this is kind of inconsequential because they're on a fucking pre-show.
And you could win by and a battle royal always has that stigma of, if you look at it from a certain sense, it's like, well, he had to beat 20 guys in the battle royal to win, but the other side of that is it's a stagger style entry. So
Exactly.
Everything is like, it's the luck of the draw more than
Exactly.
anything. Yeah.
Which winds up being another thing. Anyway, so the other thing I didn't like how that this was formatted, and they've since done away with the format that they had for the initial Casino Battle Royal, but they had it broken down because it's got to have a casino theme to it.
Yes. Yeah.
They broke it down into 4 groups of like 5.
Yeah.
Clubs, diamonds, hearts, spades, and then the Joker. So like you wouldn't have an individual entry.
Yeah. Here's a clump of guys that are coming.
Here's a clump of guys that come. And so like when you run down this group of names, it's crazy. Like you wouldn't even. There was a few that maybe 1 or 2 that I didn't even recognize. So there's the clubs, right?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Let's break it down by suit.
Clubs That's the first group to enter the ring. Dustin Thomas,
He
who,
was
if
the half man.
yes, he's no legs, as
Right.
most people know him as. Then MJF, Sunny Days. I don't know who that is.
Sunny Days. Okay. All right.
I have no idea.
Wow.
Brandon Cutler
Okay. Easy. Yeah.
and Michael Nakazawa.
Another one, like, and this is what's funny. Before we even get that far, Brandon Cutler, Michael Nakazawa, these are two guys that are
They're producers
in the company because
They're friends.
They're friends of the top guys. And, if you know being the elite, you're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense that these guys are in there. But to a traditional wrestling fan who isn't like super into the California indies or the outer reaches of like undercard DDT, you're like, why the fuck are these guys in here?
What the fuck is
and they're in the same
right
suit
now?
as MJF, who
Yeah.
was a pretty big name on the indies at this time, and had just come off like a little run as a kind of a top tier guy at MLW.
Yes.
Who had a TV fucking deal.
He was still signed to,
Yeah,
which was like the hiccup that they were into.
And then
because they wouldn't let Tony buy him out of it.
Yeah, right. And then it was, again, you have a half man. No slight to Dustin Thomas. He's a unique story. And then whatever Sunny Days is.
Yeah. But this feels like an indie show.
Mm-hmm.
This
Right.
doesn't feel. Okay,
Yes.
so
all right. So
now
what's our next suit?
the next group would be the Diamonds, and that's Isaiah Cassidy, one half of Private Party.
Right.
Jimmy Havoc, yuck.
Yuck. Yeah. Yeah, but I hate to say it, at the time, kind of a popular British
For some reason.
garbage wrestler. Yeah.
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 Joey Janela, Brian Pillman Jr., another yuck.
Oh, okay. But no, I thought he didn't come in until a few months later. So that's interesting that he was there on that.
He's right there.
Okay.
And then Sean Spears.
Okay. All right.
So a more formidable. I would say that's a more formidable group than the.
We've got
the
a little bit
initial.
more roundness to this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next in are the Hearts, which
Okay.
this is just like a wild group.
Teddy, Harry Smith.
Brett.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So it's Billy Gunn,
Okay. Right.
Jungle Boy,
Okay.
Mark Quinn,
Okay. All right.
Ace Romero, who I think he could have stuck around, but I think that
Yeah.
this was like kind of like a one-off deal.
Yeah.
And Glacier.
Well, listen. When you break it down, you're sort of like, here's the gimmick. Like we have to throw in gimmick guys because it's the independent spirit of the battle royal.
I have to be honest with you. Now that I'm like going back and reading this out loud,
You want to watch it?
This feels like Joey booked this, and this was a
You know what?
clusterfuck.
I didn't want to say it, but there's some certain fingerprints are certainly hanging around all over this one.
Yeah, he may have had a say in this.
All right, okay, let's get him on the show. Get him to admit it.
And then the Spades. The Spades are
Be
the
careful.
last suit out. Luchasaurus, Marco Stunt,
Great.
Sunny Kiss,
Right,
Orange Cassidy, and fucking Tommy Dreamer.
Tommy Dreamer. Okay, all right. Well,
Tommy
listen,
Dreamer always getting himself booked.
you've got. I think they're still, other than whatever mishmash was at the beginning of this. There's some plucky.
No, there's some names. There's some names.
And
I
then-
just don't like the format of it.
Hanger was the Joker, right?
Hanger was the Joker and winds up winning.
Right. Well,
Which he comes in last, wins. So like the whole, what you were saying earlier about you have to go through 20 other guys. Not really, because there's probably like 4 people left in the ring by the time
exactly.
he got in there.
Right. You're down to the nitty gritty. At least you're down to a final 6 or a final 8 when you're boiling it down.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's certainly
So-
it.
I would say that is a pre-show match.
I was just going to say, like,
outside of-
should it have been off the pre-show? Should it have been the first match of the night? Maybe.
Yeah. I think that at least because then you're bookending your show with setting up
Yep.
for your next pay-per-view, which is
Mhm.
going to be the winner of this and then the winner of your main event are going to face
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
another at All Out for the first ever world title.
Okay. All right.
So that was the issue I had with that match.
Is
Uh,
is that the only thing on the
no, so
buy-in
there's
or?
there's
Oh, okay.
one other match
Okay.
that I don't think should have been on the buy-in. It probably should have replaced one of the other matches on the card, which I'll get to eventually. But
Mhm.
so the second match on the buy-in is Kip Sabian versus Sammy Guevara,
Yeah. Yeah.
which was a pretty good match.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not like I'm indifferent on both of these guys in terms of like characters, whatever. But like I would say that this probably should have opened the show because I
Mhm.
think that it sets the tone
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
than than anything else.
I
If
agree.
they went like 10 minutes maybe.
It's also the
And
type of thing like if you want to establish that this is a different type of,
yeah,
wrestling where it's not just all we're trying to establish people that you
here are
maybe
two guys
knew
that
but
you
never saw.
yeah.
This
So
is
here are
their
two guys that if you're a WWE fan, you've almost definitely never heard of.
Mhm.
They're going to come out and they're going to put on a great match.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
All right.
All right.
So that's the buy-in. Then we get into the main card of the show. And the opener is a 6-man tag with SCU
Yeah. Yeah.
taking on the Strong Hearts, Seema, T-Hawk, and El Linderman.
Mhm.
I'm not familiar with that guy too much.
Okay.
SCU gets the win.
They really made it a point, and Jen, I'm just sort of like I'm hearkening back to before AEW started. They really made it a point to say like, we're gonna feature 6-man tags.
Yeah.
We're gonna lean into our tag team division, our traditional tag team division, pretty strongly. So when you want to say, well, first of all, I think SCU is great. SCU is part of that being the Elite Universe. They were
Yeah.
all part of Ring of Honor together and the California Indies together. So, them being like the first act on this show
It
totally makes sense to me. The Strong Hearts, you've got a little bit of an established. Like if you're a hardcore fan,
Yeah.
you're gonna say, "Hey, I'm familiar with these guys, or I can't wait to see them again."
At least Seema.
And it's gonna be it's gonna be fast paced and it's a good it's a good establishing
Yeah.
presence. So,
No, yeah, I have no problem with that being there.
and you said SCU went over, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
of course.
Because they're going to be, the other guys aren't going to be.
They were gone
around
pretty
all the
quickly.
time.
Yeah. Which is a surprise because, like I said, all of the hype that went into it
Yeah.
before they established the company, they were like, well, this is, we're going to showcase international talent in a way that, and they did not have an agreement with New Japan at this time. They were not playing
No.
friendly with them. So this would have been like, hey, here's our
Yeah,
a
'cause
little bit of our
what
nod
pro-
to Dragon Gate and a little bit of
What
a.
promotion were they in at the moment? Because it was, didn't they go to China?
I
and
was
start,
going to
like,
say, yeah, this was
I forget what it's called, but didn't they
Seema's
go to
group in China. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And I think it might have been called Strong Hearts.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It might have been. I can't recall. But yeah, so that's the opener. Next we get a 4-way women's match. Dr. Britt Baker
DMD.
versus Kylie Ray versus Nyla Rose versus Awesome Kong.
And this was not for anything.
Not for anything. Now there are no titles established at this point
Right.
yet.
Right.
So nothing is for anything.
We'll
really.
see if you can address that later when you rebook it. But
Yes.
this is so
I
two
think it's a
giant
bad-
girls and two and
it's
Britt. They were trying to get Britt as a babyface woman of the company.
It was just like, okay, I'll say this out front. I think that Awesome Kong was far past her prime
Yeah.
at this time. and I just don't think that she fits in that
what they're
match. And
going
I
for.
know
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know what you're trying to do. You're trying to put someone that's established in there because the other three are new
Hmm.
to probably a great deal of the audience.
True. Yeah.
But she doesn't fit the style that I would say Kylie Ray, Britt Baker, and Nyla Rose are gonna try and work.
Yeah. It's funny, like and I know there was another women's match, and I'm sure we'll get to that in time,
Yes.
but that feels like it's a better spot for Kong than being part of a four-way.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, all right, it's
Oh,
easy enough for you
100%.
to like,
The other match
take your
you're talking
rests,
about.
come in for a high spot, or come in for a hot tag, or whatever. Run wild, or just be a presence at ringside, and
Yeah.
hey, we're established. Like, so if they had a three-way, and then like Kong showed up like after the match was over and
Hmm.
stared down the winner,
Yeah.
then it's like, all right, I feel a little bit better about this. Do I trust it? Like, and Kong was gone fast because
Oh,
she
real
got
fast.
hurt.
Yeah.
So maybe they had bigger plans for her, and they just
They
saw that
didn't
she
work
was
out.
like, her knees were shot and her hips were terrible.
Hmm.
But with we're looking at this, we're reflecting almost 6 years
Yes.
afterwards. She's on the Glow Show on Netflix at this time.
Oh, okay.
That had started in like 2018, maybe even 2019. So she's still participating in that, and she's still a big she's a big part of that show. So I can see where they were like, hey, if
I
we get a
see
chance to
why.
slot her in here, she's got clout.
I see why you put her on the show. I just don't think that that's the
That's not the right
place
vessel.
for her.
Yeah.
And I think that there are other women that I will get to
Okay.
in the rebooking part of this that probably could have slid into that match and made it way better.
Who Nyla took this one?
Mm-mm.
No,
Britt won.
Dr. Baker. Ooh,
Yeah.
okay, all right, interesting. That's interesting in hindsight. Like again, you're just sort
Well,
of
yeah.
saying to yourself, well, if you were going to book Britt, how come Britt's not your first champ?
Not even in the title match.
She's not in the title match. Nyla was in the
Yeah.
title match.
Yeah.
All interesting
Uh,
things to think about, but
yep. Okay, so then our next match, the third match on the actual pay-per-view, fifth match overall, are best friends Chucky T and Trent versus Jack Evans and Angelico.
okay, all right.
I mean this is just like a good indie tag match.
Yeah,
Like this is
yeah,
just a good tag team match. Two great teams. I don't think that they did enough with Jack Evans and Angelico. I think that
absolutely not. They made them job guys so
there's
fast.
there's Jack Evans is like, oh man, that guy is so goddamn underrated.
Yeah,
And of course they're putting over Chuck and Trent. But I mean, you could have done much more with them. And they were at the time they were doing stuff in AAA. I think so. It's like
oh, Jack and
hey,
Angelico. Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
maybe you don't have them for all the dates that you want to have them for, and could that have played into it?
could be, but
Especially when you're not when you're for the first 5 6 months of the company, you don't even have a TV deal, so you're just kind of doing pop-up shows.
so you're also looking at four guys that have a little bit. Now, again, like if you want to cater a little bit to, I know Ring of Honor was still a thing by itself at this time, but you've got four guys in there
Yeah.
that have like ties to Ring of Honor. Maybe not Angelico. If he was there, it was probably brief, but the other three certainly had been part of it, whether it was back in the day or more recently. So I think you've got four guys that prove that they had chemistry, and I forgot that happened, and I know that it probably happened three more times on television in the first six
Yeah.
months of the company. So, but yeah, like you're right, it does kind of like it's a head scratcher that you couldn't figure out what to do with, a quirky, sort of
Especially
daredevil
like
type like Jack. Like he would have been fucking great
I
to
mean,
push early.
later on down the line, you wind up having like almost an influx of tag teams,
Yeah.
to where like that's when I could see them getting pushed down a little bit. But
True.
as the company's starting, you have a handful. You want like you're promoting that you're gonna push tag team wrestling,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're in the top 5 or 6 teams that you've got.
Of
Like
course. Yeah.
you could have done more.
Yeah.
All right, so best friends win that. Next, this match I think should have been switched with the at least the battle royal, probably actually both matches on the pre-show. Hikaru Shida, Riho, and I'm gonna butcher this name, Royo Mazanami.
Rio, yeah. Yeah. Rio Mazurami, right?
Versus Aja Kong, Emi Sakura, and Nyaka Sakazaki.
Okay. Yeah.
Ah,
It's this is the other side of it is you Kenny was so hard pressed to get international, especially Japanese girls on this show and prove that, hey, I've got the pipeline, Tokyo Joshi Pro and DDT are going to send me, talented girls to work. It should have been on the pre-show because none of these girls are. Oh, Aja Kong is a different story.
that's the only name. I would say
And
that's the only name on that in that match.
Emi Sakura had I think she was on did a stint or two in WCW.
Oh, okay, yeah, maybe.
But
But
again,
not
at that time she's in a tag team match with Akira Hokuto and probably bigger names.
and she's probably also like this is the time when she's doing that like Freddie Mercury
Yeah,
gimmick,
yeah.
which is not what people would have remembered her from.
No.
You know what I mean? Like 10 years ago. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
This
This is whatever. It's not like bad, but it's just like if this is going to be your first presentation as a company, this one just it didn't fit to be on the main card.
So this would be where I would have put Kong. I put Kong
Exactly.
across, or I put it's Aja Kong and Awesome Kong because they did team in Japan in our favorite promotion, Hustle.
Nice.
You could have put them and somebody, I would have put them with Emi Sakura on the heel side, and then have three smaller, younger babyface girls like go up against them and let them bounce around. But I would also put that on the pre-show.
Exactly.
But you're rebooking this. I'm not rebooking this.
We'll get to it.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so next match of the night, Cody and Dustin, all time.
They still talk about this one.
I think it's a top 5, still to this day, top 5 AEW match.
So I'd listen to, and not to plug another podcast, but man, the Way of the Blade podcast that Phil Schneider does is so fucking good.
Oh, okay. I
and
haven't checked that out.
So he did, and he's written and he's updated the book a bunch of times, the Way of the Blade, which is about the bloodiest matches or the best bloody matches in the history of pro wrestling. And he had a special episode because I think he did a abridged edition for the 5th year of AEW where he looked back. So he had Tony Khan on talking about like selected matches that use blood the right way in AEW's history. And this was from maybe the week before Mania, like early part of April this came out. And he's still talking glowingly about like Cody and Dustin in this match especially, and like the drama that was surrounding it and everything that went into it and how the blood played into the story so well. It's easily still one of their top. I think you're absolutely right. It's one of their top matches, and it told a good story for the beginning of the company.
I personally think it's both of their best matches that they've ever had.
It could be, yeah.
As you know, I'm not the biggest Cody Rhodes fan.
Yeah.
But I fucking love this match.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
It outshined the one time that they let them wrestle on pay-per-view on WWE when they were both in Golden Stardust
Oh,
costumes, and it ended up with a fucking fluke roll up, and then it was like, all right, well, there's going to be no rematch,
yeah.
and it's like, how do you not put that on WrestleMania as a follow up, and like Goldust get his win back? Oh, it's just such a. So this is like this sort of like retrofitted into that legacy extremely well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we got two more matches left on the original card.
Wait, there's only two. This is an AEW pay per view. It's not going until 12:30 or 1 o'clock in the morning.
Well, yeah. There's only seven. There's only seven matches
Oh, jeez,
on
wow.
the main card, which is crazy.
That's crazy to me.
Next is the AAA tag team title match, Young Bucks versus Lucha Brothers.
Luchas. Okay, yeah.
Of course, I can't have a stinker with those two teams.
Nah, they're easy,
So
and they're
another,
both over and established.
yeah. They close out the show great. So yeah, Bucks retain the AAA titles, and then main event is, so the stipulation for this match is the winner gets a title shot at All Out
Against Hanger. Yeah.
against Hangman, who won the Casino Battle Royal. It's the rematch from the Tokyo Dome at Wrestle Kingdom 12 or 13. Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega. And if you remember at All In, Kenny wrestled Penta,
And then they did the
And-
switch out.
They did the switch out. Jericho revealed, so that kind of set up for this. Jericho beats Kenny to go on to wrestle Hangman at All Out. And after the match is over, the recently released contract expired. However, that turned out John Moxley shows up, gives everyone a DDT, and then sets up the match for All In with Kenny Omega.
So you know what his nickname was when he went to New Japan and wrestled the G1 that summer, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all ties together. It's all right, linked up.
Yep.
So there, all right. So there's the original card.
There's the original card.
You've got
not bad. I wouldn't say bad.
No,
by
not
any
at all.
stretch of the imagination. Especially at the time, I think that with the state of how things were in the business, it definitely was a good first outing.
Yeah.
But there were just some things that I would have changed, and some people that I think got left out that could have been on the card.
Okay. All right. So let's start off. Do you have matches on the pre-show?
I do. I have
Yes.
have two matches on the pre-show.
What a thorough booker you are.
Two matches on the pre-show. So completely different than
Good.
what happened on the main the original pre-show.
All right, hit me with
So
it.
we're gonna open the buy-in with a tag team match. Gonna be the Dark Order, Evil Uno, and Stu Grayson
Yep.
taking on the Strong Hearts of Seema and T-Hawk.
Okay. All right. They could still have the same type of match with them as they were having, especially Stu. Fuck.
Yeah,
Is he still wrestle or is he done?
I don't know what's going on.
God, that
with him,
dude is
'cause
so underrated.
He left, and then he came
He
back.
came back for like a week.
Yeah,
when they were in Canada.
and then they just don't do anything with the Dark Order ever anymore.
I know.
So Dark Order is going to get the win here because you're going to establish them. This is the because I don't think that they weren't on the original at all.
No.
And I don't think that they really started showing up until they got TV. If I remember.
Why do I feel like they had
They might have been at All Out.
at All Out, and I think they jumped
Yes,
Chuck
yes,
and
yes,
Trent
yes.
after their
Yes.
match,
Yeah.
and
They had, like-
they had 60 guys, and then out of the storm of 60 guys, Uno was the leader,
Yeah.
and Stu was the only other guy, and they were the only two
Everyone
that were
else had, like,
identified, and
masks
everybody
on,
else had
yeah.
masks and bodysuits.
Yeah.
Boy, the original Dark Order was.
I thought that was such a cool idea that
Yeah.
that didn't really.
I love the infomercials.
Yes.
that they would throw in. And that guy, what's funny about it, not to get off topic completely,
No.
but the guy who did the infomercials, sort of like a clean cut white guy.
Yeah.
They have commercials for Bet360 or Bet365. He's in those fucking commercials, and he's basically wearing like a green jacket and a turtleneck, and it's like he's the Dark Order. He's the original Dark Order spokesman.
That's pretty.
So yeah,
that's just a fun nugget.
Dude's he's got a backup career.
All right, so
and you've got the Dark Order going over here, right?
Dark Order goes over.
Okay.
Kind of like an establishment of them.
Okay. All
right. So the second match. It's funny you said this about the six women tag match.
Mm-hmm.
So that is going to be the second match on the pre-show.
That makes sense.
It's going to be Awesome Kong.
See, you're getting her in.
Nyla Rose.
Okay. All right.
And Aja Kong.
That's a team. All right.
Taking on Hikaru Shida.
Mm-hmm.
Yaka Sakazaki.
Mm-hmm.
And Big Swole.
Oh, shit. Big Swole. All right.
Yeah. Get her on the card.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This is more, let's throw out the big beasts taking on the much smaller team of women, and have Sheeta come out and be able to get like a roll up on Aja Kong to establish her, especially since the other two kind of never didn't do all that much in the company.
Mm-hmm.
But it gets Nyla and Awesome Kong, because Aja Kong, I think this was like a one-off kind of deal. I don't remember her being around.
They in the pandemic, there was an episode where they had like wouldn't they have a women's tournament? It was an eliminator tournament, and the winner of it got to like come over to the U.S. to have the match.
Oh yeah.
So they were showing the matches from an arena in Japan, and she was on one of the. I think she wrestled against Ryu Mizami, I believe. But yeah, she again in the first year of the company, she was used when they needed to pad something out, she might have done maybe she was part of that. Remember they had a women's tag team tournament.
I don't remember that. Seems like it's probably for the better.
Filling the cards out. That's what they were doing. But
yeah, so we get all these people on the show in some capacity, and I think that this fits most of them better. The initial booking.
And remember, you're showing this on YouTube, so there's a chance if you advertise it the right way that you have an audience that's bigger than what you're gonna naturally get over to pay-per-view, and you might have a few people that turn it on and go like, oh shit, like I know a few of these names, or I've seen a few of these girls before, they're part of AEW, I'm going to buy the pay-per-view. So it's a good way to hook in some casuals.
Yep. All right, so now we're getting to the main card, and I am flipping the script on everything here.
All right.
We are not going to have two matches that determine who are going to wrestle for the world title at All Out.
Okay.
We are going to have a 4-man mini tournament to decide who the champion is on this show.
Very Vince Russo of you. Oh, so the champion's going to be crowned
Correct.
tonight. All right.
Yes. Whoever wins the two openers will then wrestle in the main event for
the world belt. Okay.
The world title.
All right.
So your opening contest is going to be Chris Jericho taking on MJF.
Okay. All right.
With Chris Jericho ultimately winning.
He gets the Duke. Okay.
Gets the Duke over MJF. You open the show. So this is the first match that people are seeing on pay-per-view for AEW. You have an established star who at this time could still go.
Yes.
Versus a guy that you think you're going to build this promotion on. So these are I think it's a good way to have a contrast of, all right, you get a little bit of everything with us. You have a guy that's been around for 30 years, and you have this guy that maybe you don't know who he is. Tonight you'll find out who he is.
And you're putting Jericho on very early because, again, if I was just going to say, even if you have somebody who is sight unseen, like, I'll give it a try. First person that you see coming out is Chris Jericho in a first match. So it's like, at least I'm sticking around to see what this is all about. You're okay. Very good.
And then the second match is going to be Kenny Omega versus Hangman.
Okay.
And we're going to have Kenny go over in that one as well. So I kept 2 matches, like our usual rules for rebooking cards. I kept 2 matches. 2 of the original matches from the show. So we're it's a different way to get there, but we're still getting Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega.
Your main is still event. Right, but it's for higher stakes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so next we're going to have a women's showcase match.
Okay.
It's going to be Britt Baker with Jamie Hayter in her corner.
Okay.
She was like her heater.
Okay. All right.
Versus Riho. Versus Kylie Ray.
Still keeping her. Okay.
Versus B Priestley.
B Priestley. So B Priestley had the heat with. I mean, again, I don't want to get all soap opera-y, but like B Priestley had the heat with Britt at some point, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Or she had heat with somebody.
Yes.
In that locker room, and that's why she didn't stick around. I actually thought it was Jamie Hayter, but I'm forgetting that like Jamie Hayter wasn't really prominent until Britt turned heel, and then they had her as part of the act. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm establishing Britt as a heel
very good. Yeah,
to start because
it's the better way to present her.
It is, and when she was a babyface, she was, ugh.
she's not likable. She's better as an unlikable person and as a cocky heel. I agree with you.
Exactly.
All right. So that's a good 4-way. Those are if you're talking to indies, those are people that your indie wrestling fans would be like, yes, and
it's also
I'm here for this.
Aside from Britt, to an extent, it's a much more AEW style match. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you can have a fast-paced, technical, high-flying kind of match as opposed to what they had originally booked.
Right. Yeah.
With the women's 4-way to be.
Right. Okay. Good.
And Britt Baker's going to get. She's got Jamie Hayter in her corner, so there'll be some shenanigans.
She gets a win. Okay. All
right. Next, 2 guys that weren't on the original show, and I was shocked. So we're gonna have Pac take on Darby Allin.
Sorry. So the reason why Pac wasn't because they had all of those issues with his visa, didn't they? I don't know that he could. He had signed. I know he had signed because he's shown up on their press conferences. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I mean, dude always seems to have a problem with his visas, but
I know he has an issue staying here.
Yeah.
I just don't know. Like, I don't see why you couldn't get him here for a one-off show.
So that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Put him in your main card and get him.
Absolutely. And Darby, I was shocked that he wasn't in the Casino Battle Royal.
Was he injured? That could have been it.
I mean, he may have been, but then like the next show was in June. Like only a few weeks after this, and that's when he wrestled Cody in that like 20-minute draw.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Oh, okay.
So I don't know what
was he getting a face tattoo or like climbing a mountain that day.
He could have been. He could have been being tattooed as a skeleton. That's a possibility.
Listen, guys, he's got long weekends, so
or it was like a Nightmare Before Christmas convention.
Maybe here's what I think. I think first of all, he probably had prior commitments skateboarding, and second of all, there was probably a Defy show that like Nick Wayne was like, I'm going to be on the show. I just need a ride, and Darby's like, but I don't have a driver's license. Okay, but like
I'll get hit by a bus so that we can get a free ride to the show.
This is just like the teenage Nick Wayne backstory that I want to throw in there. 16-year-old
When he
Nick
was
Wayne,
in sixth
or
grade.
probably 14-year-old, however old he is now, like 18 or 19. But yeah, little boy Nick Wayne needed a babysitter that weekend. Shayna was receiving phone calls from Christian Cage at that time. So
Oh boy. Yeah, so that I think
right.
I mean they're gonna have a great match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you could
excellent.
you could establish Pac as the bastard. I think it's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
it'll be awesome.
Yeah.
It'll be a lot of fun. All right. Next, this is a special attraction ladder match for the AAA tag team titles.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have the Young Bucks, who were going into the show as the champions, taking on the Lucha Bros.
Okay, right.
This is a 5-way ladder match, by the way.
Oh, it's 5-way. Okay, so okay.
The Bucks, Lucha Bros versus SCU, Scorpio Sky, and Kazarian.
Yep.
Best friends,
Okay.
and Jack Evans and
Okay.
Angelico.
So just party time with everybody.
Yeah, we're gonna get
Okay.
we're gonna get nuts.
Yeah. The sickos have already arrived.
The sickos are parked outside tailgating, waiting for this one.
I like it. Yeah.
I'm gonna have the Lucha Bros go in and win this one and get the tag team titles. I think that the Bucks probably beat them in the initial show because it's a one-on-one, like a mano-y-mano
Of course,
kind
yeah.
of tag match. But when you have a 5-way ladder match, you can kind of book everyone strong, regardless of who's going to win.
Oh yeah, everybody's taking punishment. Everybody's bumping. Right. You don't have to. It doesn't necessarily have to be at the expense of anybody that's in that match. It's survival
And
of the
if you
fittest.
really have to have someone take the quote-unquote fall, it'll be Jack Evans.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
All right, so next, which is the 7th match. Now this is more of like an AEW pay-per-view.
Yeah. We're only
This is-
halfway through it. You're on the 7th match. It's,
Seventh match on the card, keeping the best match of the show, keeping Cody versus Dustin.
okay. All right.
It's going to be exactly how
Yes.
it was on that. It's nothing changes.
Good.
So there's not too much to say about that. 8. Now this is after you have that, you have to have kind of a cool down before you get to your main event and your world title match.
Yeah.
So this is where we're going to stick the 21-man Casino Battle Royal.
All right.
And
All right.
this is for a number 1 contendership shot at all out.
I like that better.
In September.
Yes.
And we are not going to play the stupid suits thing. We're going to go one by one, reveal Royal Rumble style, as opposed to doing the clusters of people.
So you're going to do it like a staggered entry, like
Yeah.
just call it the Casino Battle Royal, and it's just a Royal Rumble. But
Correct.
could you do it as now, let's pretend we have a time machine and all of our good ideas came out in 2019. Is there a way to do a casino gauntlet?
I mean, you could.
Because
but
they've never
we're
gotten to
still-
21 guys in anything like that. So I don't want to second guess your booking. I'm just
I wanted to get everyone on the show for the main purpose of just exposing your whole roster.
here's how deep our roster
Like,
really is. Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
like everybody we have on the roster.
All right.
And you're going to see all of them. And also having it be a Royal Rumble style, again, for people who are unfamiliar with the company, it kind of gives them a bit of
You get a snapshot of all of the guys that you are
of-
eventually going to see on
and
their weekly
you-
shows. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So we're going to go 1 through 21.
Okay.
And the only thing that's going to be, so we would have announced the 20 people, okay, going into the Battle Royal, except for the Joker.
The Joker,
The Joker is
right.
still going to be a mystery.
Okay,
The
good.
last person to enter this.
Okay.
Number 1 is Orange Cassidy.
Great.
Number 2 is Kip Sabian. So
Okay.
these are two
I like
guys,
that.
two guys that you're going to have a high flying, fast paced kind of style, just to kind of kick it off.
They can start you off, and Cassidy is still he's a meme wrestler at the time,
Yes,
but
very
he's
much
also
so. And we didn't for quite a while. We didn't see the like Orange Cassidy indie style where he kind of has that uptick and then starts going.
Yeah.
It was a lot of the same thing over and over.
right. They had him in the multi-mans, and it was sort of like, hey, here's our mascot, more or less.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. So
All right,
Orange and Kip to start off with. Okay,
Number 3 is going to be QT Marshall.
right.
I don't know why he wasn't on the original show either. I don't know if he was like planning on not wrestling because I know that he was kind of like a producer at the beginning,
And he was running the training school. So basically, his job when they originally started all of this, I don't think they intended for him to wrestle until they really were like, all right, well now we really have to pad out cards, and we're going to bring you in the stuff. But and he was part of Cody Rhodes' entourage.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that like the original intention was, yeah, we're going to have a lot of young people on this show, but we're going to have trainees that are like, because I know they wanted to do like AEW Dark fast. And they were like, these are basically our job guys. And like, you're in charge of like getting these people like ready to come out on television.
Yeah.
No more, no less. And you're going to be basically their like player coach on that AEW Dark side of things. So, yeah, I think like it was never the high intention to have him featured as a major player on television. So this is a very good spot for him to be in a battle royal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So next is going to unfortunately be Jimmy Havoc.
Mm-hmm.
The less you say about that, the better.
Okay. All right.
After that, we are going to have Sammy Guevara. So we get a little more high-flying action coming into the match.
Yep.
After Sammy, this is where we get to see Glacier.
Good. I'm glad he's still booked.
Glacier comes out. He does his
Cha-cha-cha. Yeah.
karate. Next, a guy that wasn't on the original show, Matt Cross, M-Dog 20.
Was he?
He had a short stint with them.
Okay. All right. Because I remember he was on All In.
He was on All In. I feel like he did a few more things.
Okay.
But nothing crazy.
But like even if he's not signed, he's
you have these Japanese girls who are not signed. You have people appearing.
He's eligible to be in there. All right. I like that.
Number 8, John Silver of at the time the Beaver Boys.
Beaver Boys pre-Dark Order.
Pre-Dark Order.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, Marco Stunt.
Okay. Good.
And now here is where we're going to do a bit of this is all going on kind of typical battle royal style. Mm-hmm. This is where we're going to establish someone as a badass. And another guy who was not on the original show, Wardlow. So here is where we have Wardlow come in. And Wardlow is, and if you notice, the previous 3 guys are probably 5'5". Wardlow is going to pick all of them up and throw them all.
Here's Uno Monster.
Time.
So what's funny about Wardlow is they did have him. He was featured one of the early the pay-per-views before the show started. Like they had some sort of like filmed skit or vignette with Wardlow, like I don't know, talking to some shady guys in like a parking garage, and he was established as this sort of like kind of underground fighter or underground like hitman sort of deal.
Yeah.
And then it changed once he got to television, and they put him with MJF eventually. But this is a good establishing shot for old Michael Wardlow.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
So next we're going to have Sonny Kiss come out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
quick and easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mark Quinn, Joey Janela,
Okay.
and now we're going to get a little bit of a big man face off. Ace Romero's going to come out,
Okay.
and
Wow.
you're getting a face off between him and Wardlow.
Hmm.
That gets spoiled by Brian Pillman Jr.,
Piece of shit. Okay.
scumbag. The two of them get rid of him. In comes Luchasaurus. So now you got the three big men,
There you go.
and they're going at it. You got a few stragglers who are like Cassidy's hanging around,
Mhm.
Sammy's hanging around, Glacier's hanging around, but they're all kind of, out in the corners.
Selling and having the
the
naps.
the three big guys are going at it right now.
Okay.
After Luchasaurus comes Sean Spears, then Isaiah Cassidy, then Billy Gunn, and your 20th entry, the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels.
Okay. All right.
So now we've got all of our 20 participants that were advertised for this match. The Joker is yet to come out.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys get eliminated, we're down to Luchasaurus and Wardlow.
Ooh. Okay.
Hits John Moxley's music.
Ah,
John Moxley
he's the
Joker.
He's the linchpin. He's the Joker. Okay. All right.
John Moxley is the Joker.
That place would go nuts.
Place goes
I
nuts.
mean, it went nuts.
It goes
You know,
nuts,
when he-
but now he's actually going to be wrestling.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
in the match.
Mhm.
And so what's going to play is that initial video that
Mm-hmm.
he released on Twitter when he got released,
Yeah.
or his contract expired, whatever it was. And so Mox comes out, cleans house, Mox wins. He's going to be going on to face whoever your champion is at the end of tonight at September's All Out.
All right.
pay-per-view.
Good. Good.
And then you're going to get your main event for the world title. You have the Bret Hart. The same thing that they did at All Out, the Bret Hart title presentation.
I've got the belt.
I've got the belt. I'm wearing jean shorts and a leather jacket.
Leather jacket. Fuck Bill Goldberg.
Yeah. Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega. Chris Jericho, your inaugural AEW World Heavyweight.
And then you've got Mox and Jericho as the first title.
Mox and
First title
Jericho.
defense, and you can build that through the beginning of the summer, I'm sure,
Oh, absolutely.
with some good internet promos, but then also you have the Bleacher Report specific shows that you can toss them on to get some heat and to build some intrigue. I like it. I think it, a good use of everybody that's available on the roster with some special surprises that didn't make the original show. You didn't have to dig for, here's another old wrestler that we could have thrown on that would have been real fun to have on there, or, the WWF ended up firing this guy in April right after WrestleMania season, and here he is.
I wanted to keep it as
throwing on the show.
realistic of a card as possible. Put on a show that could have been presented as the first pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But, if the cards fell correctly. For whatever reason, some people weren't on the show. But I don't, I don't know the reasoning behind it. Going back there. But if we were in a perfect world, they would have been. And I think that that's a good use of the people that missed out on.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I would give it a thumbs up. I would approve that booking, and I would and it's all right. So the Cody Dustin match.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Spears brains Cody at the end of that one, or was that a different? Am I thinking of it different?
I think that was the Darby one, wasn't it?
Maybe it was. Okay. Maybe that was. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because I think that Cody and Dustin embraced it.
They did the embrace, and then
yeah.
when did they? They teamed against the Bucks before the company started too.
So there was Fight for the Fallen, and then there's another one that's like F. It's got like a FF
Was that
name.
did we do a Fighter Fest?
Fighter Fest. That's
Okay,
it.
we did a Fighter Fest.
So
All
there
right.
was Fighter Fest, and there was a Fight for the Fallen.
Because Fighter Fest was the one that Joey wrestled
Moxley.
Right.
So I think that might have.
Unsanctioned. Okay.
I think that may have been the Bucks versus Cody and
Versus
Dustin.
Cody and
And
Dustin.
then
Yeah.
Fighter Fest was Cody versus Darby, and then Sean Spears gets him. Something along those lines.
One of those in that timeline is where, because I do remember it was it was pre AEW Dynamite that Spears clocked.
Yes,
Cody.
because everyone got out of fucking hand.
Right, yeah, because it was a
Everyone
direct
was
chair
like-
shot.
Yeah,
And he brained
even
him.
though they used the gimmick chair.
Okay, well, I mean, he used a lot of it too. So, but no, great job with that. No chicanery. That you didn't rewrite history completely, which is
Yeah, I tried to keep
which
it
is always
as-
good because and I always thought that it made sense that you have the established guy Chris Jericho prominently featured in that first pay-per-view that your company has under your branding, because he was such a key part of their rollout of the company to begin with.
Yeah,
And true to form, it goes just as planned. So all great. I like it. So yeah, I mean that kind of wraps us up. We're getting to before Double or Nothing this year. I really like the way the television has been going for AEW.
Yeah.
They've really been they've had exciting shows, and that's kind of the key component. This past week was I think top to bottom one of their, like, it flew by because there was something going on in almost every segment. And if you look again, I think one of the key takeaways when you're listening to this show and you're looking at that first inclination of the roster, and you see how it has shifted away, but there's still tent poles. There's still the MJFs of the world. There's still the Bucks. There's still Technically, Sammy Guevara has a chance to be on Double or Nothing. So he's still around. Kip Sabian is still around. So you still have some guys that are, maybe they're not top like they were at one point.
yeah, they're not positioned the way that they were, but they're still there.
But there are still guys there, and there's still, on the other end of the spectrum, they made so many big stars, either homegrown stars, like an Orange Cassidy, or like a Jack Perry, or to a certain extent Sammy and Darby, that are still part of their company. That and then the major free agent acquisitions of the signees that they brought in after that.
But they're still pulling guys from the indies and making and elevate it, like Yuta, like Danny Garcia, they're still finding the gems. Willow,
Absolutely,
Stat.
yeah.
They're finding these gems on the independent scenes, like they did in the initial inclination of the show with guys like Joey and Darby and Sammy and stuff like that. And they're still making new stars, which is awesome.
They
as opposed to just stealing ex
right.
ex WWE guys,
Yeah.
who got released.
Yes. Yeah.
Or whoever's going to go to the highest bidder. They're actually making an effort to make their own stars.
To balance it out with enough people that they can establish. That is absolutely right. So great job on the booking on this one.
Appreciate it.
And we hope everybody enjoys Double or Nothing. And that'll wrap us up for tonight. For my partner, my tag team partner, Tommy Schultz. This has been Mike Madden. This has been the Dropkick Basement. We will see you all at the matches.